this is the main dashboard of VMRay platform. And here you can see the latest submissions from your organization and also the verdict trend of those submissions. And not wasting any time, going ahead and uploading a file or URL section on the left-hand side. Now, clicking on that score button will pop up a window where we can actually go ahead and upload and analyze certain Qbot file, which is going to be automatically detected as its file type, HTML, right? And you can see the sample type is HTML documents, and it is going to be analyzed in the VMRay Web Analyzer environment, right? So we will go ahead and submit this by clicking a submit button, and it will take us to the sample summary page. Here we see that it's almost immediately picked up by the reputation, which is threat intelligence, but the web analysis, the dynamic analysis of that HTML file and static analysis are still ongoing, and we will be really interested in the web analysis of it. And when I click to that web analysis, I can go to that interactive analysis, which is an automated, isolated environment that is spin up to analyze this file. And I can see that there is an HTML file loaded up in a Chrome browser instantly. And I can see some weird stuff on my screen that is related to a document password, mimicking a Google Drive web page. I see on the left-hand side down below, without even clicking to anything, this HTML file downloaded an encrypted zip file, which is really weird, right? Just go into the perspective of user. I mean, user needs to do a lot of stuff to open this file and just without knowing infect its own endpoint. But still, it's a very dangerous threat. And it's actually, we see a lot of times it works to trick the user. So I see that on the left-hand side, there was a file that's downloaded. Now the VMRay Analyzer finished its analysis process for this specific file, but we're not end yet. We're going to continue to see what this zip file is about. At the end, this HTML file was found to be malicious by the antivirus and reputation. I can see those sections in there, and there's also 2 remarks over there. Let me tell you, the antivirus warning and web download detected. So VMRay Analyzer detected this, but it also says that the file may or may not be recursively analyzed. So in this case, the file is encrypted, and we see the password on the web page. And we're going to go ahead and look at that screenshot because analysis report will include those screenshots, and the VMRay platform will take these screenshots throughout the analysis and put it in the analysis report. And let's go to that file step to see the interesting file that is downloaded without us touching anywhere. Here, the zip file that we've seen in that screenshot in the interactive analysis is going to be visible. The HTML file and the JavaScript file is automatically picked up as malicious by the artifacts of antivirus and reputation, but there's no available verdict for this downloaded file. And there's a remark attack too, because it says not available because the archive is encrypted. And I'll look at it. There's a document password over there. It's ABC321, which is a legit password that is used in Qbot campaigns. And I go ahead and submit this file without even leaving this page, and it automatically asks for the password of this file. So I type down ABC321, just submit it, and it just picks up as an ISO file, .emg file. So we extracted this HTML, submitted it, and its child sample was a zip file. Then this zip file turned out to have an ISO file with a .emg extension. We put an ISO extension over there, resubmitted, and now the reputation and static, when I refresh the page, will actually reveal its child samples. It is continuing to deliver its attack flow. It's not on the last stage yet, and we'll see how the last stage looks like. There will be a lot of nasty operations on that. And here I refresh the page, and this ISO file has 2 embedded files, as the top child samples, right? One of them is a DLL file, and the other one is a JavaScript file. So we already know that this ISO file is malicious by the static analysis of it and the reputation of it. But who cares? We need to look for other artifacts in our own environment to just write some rules about it to actually catch if any infection happened in our own organization. So for that, we need to go to the dynamic analysis of that DLL file. It's already automatically detonated by VMRay platform, and it's now being analyzed in 3 separate dynamic analysis environments on top of the static analysis. We're gonna go ahead and pick one because it might behave differently in different operating system versions. We're gonna go ahead and pick one and see what VMRay was able to uncover by just giving it an original HTML file that looks benign, but actually goes ahead and just behaves to this extent of malicious intent. Right, I'm going to go ahead and click to that Windows 7 button because it takes a couple of minutes to analyze this file, to detonate the isolation, to spawn up the VM. As you can see, there's a lot of different VTIs, which is VMRay threat identifiers, behavior rules that are actually triggered in this analysis. You can see that there was a process crash, but DLL loaded detected. But I can go ahead and show you that it's clearly and correctly identified as a Qbot file on the top left-hand side. And on the VTIs, on the top of the VTI, we see that Qbot configuration was extracted, right? It's a malware configuration extraction feature automatically kicking in and tries to decode and find the relevant parts, extract the juicy information, juicy IOCs, and just marking it down for you to see. Here you go. This sample has a lot of different IP addresses that is embedded inside of it, encrypted, encoded in a way that would be really cumbersome for an analyst to go ahead and manually look for. But these are automatically extracted. And you see there's almost about 100 URLs that were here. Probably all of them are just basically some possible C2 URL or IP addresses, which is going to be really important for us to see in our proxy logs in everywhere in our CM or EDR, see there is any connection towards these IP addresses. If there is any question, I know that I've been hit by a different version of Qbot. So here, VMRay platform shows us the process tree, and also with the ones who has red arrow, which indicates that there is a process injection happening from one process to another. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but I see that var manager.exe process is being injected, which is really one of the important processes. And yeah, just going back to the VTI, I see different types of rules triggered. I'm going to go ahead and just show the YARA rule matches and just show how the YARA rules matched on this. There's a lot of different memory dumps, which we continuously take throughout the analysis on the base of some patternal rules that are internally developed by VMRay. I see that there's a different number of memory dumps here that is basically hit by a rule named Qbot core module, right? This is a YARA rule matched on memory dumps, and we can go ahead and just show the exact YARA rule set match. I'm just going to do a Control F and type the name, and it will take me to that Qbot sample, Qbot rule that were triggered. And I see that Qbot Trojan core DLL, it's the description of the rule, a VMRay specific meta section where we just include those configurations to actually determine how the rule will behave, but you don't have to. You can just import rules. And you see there's a lot of strings that are particular to this Qbot sample. And basically you can utilize these as well. But what I'm talking about here is to actually go ahead and extract for these patterns, and then write the YARA rules and test it in VMRay, and then go ahead, confirm that it actually works. We see the IP address pattern and some kind of other, specific certain things that are related to Qbot, some crypto related bytecode, right? And there's a really complex rule, and I'm just going to mention it in a second, but this one is actually can match on the function strings, which is dynamically extracted throughout the analysis, meaning VMRay analyzer will just log every single function call that has happened in that analysis environment and dynamically extract the strings, deduplicate them, and deconcatenate them, and concatenate them to actually make it matchable by the YARA rules. You can also apply the YARA rules on not just the strings, but the memory dumps. And here there's a complex algorithm tree of the function rule strings and 7 of the other set of strings, right? So let's go ahead and show the behavior side of the things. All the behavior has been meticulously noted down in here. Going back to the overview section, we've mentioned that there was a lot of nasty stuff this Qbot is doing, and we see that it contacts known malicious URLs, tries to inject to another process memory, and it also does some execution delays, and tries to take a screenshot and creates mutuxes, or does all kinds of different stuff in that environment. So how do you detect this, right? You go to that behavior and see what was going on, and just have a forensic super timeline about what this actually file is doing in an environment where it feels comfortable to execute its malicious behavior, right? So we see in only one process, we see extract function strings, 400 of them, right? And there's a lot of memory dumps, and process level information, enumeration of other process, and memory operations in here. So there is 2 write operations with word-manager.exe in the address of a certain address in the memory. Yeah, it's just gonna be finished in a second. We are showing the function call logs in here. Even the parameters of it is gonna be visible, how this function call is being logged. And not only what function call is being logged, and we can see what data is being injected on the data when we click on the data button. It will show us what is going to be injected on the other process, and this can be downloaded. This can be matched a rule on, and another thing that I mentioned was the extracted function strings, which I see 66,000 host artifacts in here. I'm going to go ahead and just pick another process which has 6,000 host artifacts and 51 network artifacts. So I'll go ahead and download that extract function strings, which will be really, really golden for the detection engineering workflows. These are the dynamically extracted strings in the analysis environment, not just the strings.exe dump. We'll see all kinds of different patterns in here. Keys, user agent strings, IP address patterns, all kinds of other stuff that are related to this specific family, right? We can extract these information and just incorporate them in our YARA rules. And yeah, you see an IP address or URL will be visible, some keys, probably encryption keys, some DLL names, and the libraries that this file is importing. And with that, of course, the not only YARA rules, but you can utilize the artifacts in here for Sigma rules and the process name, the command line of all the processes, and all kinds of other information that you will need, the parent process, the child process, the command line parameters again, and the file names will be visible for you to actually go ahead and take them and just utilize them in some other detection vectors. So yeah, last part of the report is the IOCs. all I've been showing in here will be visible in the IOCs tab with a different mark. As you can see, all the IOCs are marked as malicious, even the ones who are extracted. I'm showing the URLs now, and these IOCs are actually going to be scored as malicious, suspicious, or clean, so that you won't spend so much time on just trying to find a needle in a haystack to actually go ahead and just find the real IOCs. So these are going to be matched with the indicators of behaviors. The VTIs, specific behavior rules will be attached to them. The related VTIs sections on the downside will be showing that information. And on the left-hand side, you can unfilter these scored IOCs, meaning you can get access to the raw data and just go ahead and just deep dive to the execution. Here, all the indicators of behavior attached to a single IOCs are going to be visible, so you can actually be confident on just writing a rule that will be triggered on a generic thing. So here, the processes, the suspicious, all kinds of available artifacts are going to be visible in here. And I think with that, we can conclude the demo section and go to the last slide. Yep. So yeah, you can actually basically do all kinds of these things manually in your own workflows, in your own laboratory, or in your own isolated environments. But how VMRay helps in here is to actually gives you an environment where you can access from different interfaces through REST API, through built-in connectors, and as we've shown, through manual web user interface. And you can go ahead and just submit files, URLs, and emails, and VMRay will be analyzing them and then just give you a verdict if you need it, or a full analysis report if you need it. So with that, I think we can end our presentation.